The Mets season debut is delayed again, but New York Post Mets beat writer Mike Puma's 2024 season preview is always on time. Let's talk projected lineups, rotations, and all things Amazins heading into Friday's season opener. Mr. Puma, how you doing, sir?
I'm ready for this baseball season to get underway. It's been a long spring and delayed one more day with the weather.
1:40 p.m. on Friday can't come soon enough. It's like Christmas was delayed 24 hours in Queens again for the second year in a row. Any new news or updates heading into Friday's season opener since we do have this extra 24 hours?
Nothing new at this point as we speak. It's just wait here. They had the workout yesterday, and now everybody gets an extra day off today.
All right. Well, I checked out your season preview on NewYorkPost.com. You guys go ahead and check out the website. Let's get straight into this. From what you saw down in Port St. Lucie and the moves that were made during spring training, does this look like a team that's on the rebuild? I guess what I'm asking, what's the expectations on the 2024 Mets?
It doesn't look like a team on the rebuild to me necessarily. I mean, it's a team that has a pathway to maybe rebuilding as the season goes along here and getting a look at some of the younger players. But, when I look at this lineup, it looks like a solid lineup that has the potential to be very good. The rotation certainly doesn't look like a rebuild with the number of veterans in there. The bullpen doesn't. So overall, it does not look like a rebuild, but you see the pathway there with some of the younger players will have if this team falls out of contention.
So to stay away from I imagine the core four has to be big. When I say core four, I mean Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, Brendan Nimmo, and Jeff McNeil. How big of a season does that core four have to give this team a shot to not only make the playoffs, but possibly make a run?
Yeah, that's what your hopes hinge on a lot is that lineup. Pete Alonso, you want another 40 home run season, and Lindor was 30-30 last year, and that's kind of where he set the bar at what you expect now. And Brandon Nimmo had his best power numbers last season. His on base maybe went down a little bit, but he's in that. And then you talk about Jeff McNeil, and he didn't really turn it on till late last season. So if they're going to contend, you want Jeff McNeil to get going right out of the chute this year.
You talk about the core four, and then you add a guy like J.D. Martinez. How big was that addition?
Yeah, and that really it gives Pete Alonso some protection in that lineup. Another quality major league bat. Now we're not going to see J.D. Martinez for the first 10 days of the season, at least the first 10 days as he builds up in the minor leagues. But you look at the fact that he slipped all the way in the market all the way till the last week before the regular season, and he was there, and the Mets jumped on him. And it's a good addition. It'll help this team compete this year.
All right, Mike, I was on your season 2024 season preview. I took some of your Mets essentials from your article. We'll call them Puma's picks. You have one down as who will have a bigger year than expected. Which player?
I went with Starling Marte simply because I don't think the bar is set very high for this guy at this point. I think the expectations are that he's washed up, and I don't think he's washed up. He came to spring training in good shape, and I think he's got something to add here. And even if he's just a league average player and maybe even slightly below that, he brings value to this team.
Who's the Met that's most likely to disappoint?
Brett Baty. There's still questions whether he can be an everyday third baseman. He had a decent spring. There were no major faux pas defensively, and offensively he hit some home runs. But now we get into the course of the season, and he's going to be tested. And last year was a big disappointment. So, if I had to pick one guy most likely disappoint right now, it'd be Brett Baty.
Who's this season's key call-up?
Christian Scott, and this is a kid, the organization's top pitching prospect. We got a little bit of a look at him toward the end of spring training. He pitched a game down in Jupiter, Florida. Has really good stuff. Scouts were raving about this kid, and he's somebody. I don't know if we'll see him right away, but it's somebody we might see in the second half of the season, depending on how things go and the need in the rotation.
This next one's pretty interesting. You have don't be surprised if
Jeff McNeil gets traded during the season. And I just say that now, obviously, if the team is contending and, he's performing, he's going to stay. But if things go sideways here, you can see Jeff McNeil as a piece another team will have interest in. He's got a very team-friendly contract. He's in the second year of that 4-year, $50 million deal he signed before last season. The Mets have some kids coming behind him, and Jet Williams and Acuna, and you have Joey Wendell on this roster that can take you through the rest of the year if you're worried about getting through this season. So that's one to look at. If things don't go well and they get to the trade deadline, I can see Jeff McNeil traded in season.
Can't wait to get your thoughts on this next one. Sure to make fans grumble.
Sure to make fans grumble. That would be this starting rotation if it's not good. There was a lot of rumblings. Fans wanted to see maybe Blake Snell or Jordan Montgomery. Now the Mets made a strong push to try and sign Yamamoto, and that didn't work out. But you look at this rotation, and it's Kodai Senga. I don't know if he's a legitimate ace, but he'll be the ace of the staff when he returns. But it's really a rotation of number twos and a lot of middle to back end guys in this rotation that they really could have used maybe that one ace at the head of the rotation. And that's if the rotation struggles here, I think we're going to hear about it.
All right, last two. The Mets will make the playoffs if
the Mets will make. I'm going to look at my cheat sheet here just because.
Sounds like me in 12th grade.
Yeah. So I said if Beatty emerges as a decent third baseman, he doesn't have to be an all-star. Harrison Bader stays healthy and is able to stay in the lineup and give them reps in center field on a regular basis. And if Senga returns to the form we saw last year when he was so good for the Mets.
Lastly, the Mets will miss the playoffs if Francisco Alvarez goes through the sophomore slump, it kind of falls off. If Senga also has that sophomore slump, and the other one I listed is Luis Severino, if he falls into a black hole where we don't see him pitch for a while because of physical ailment, because of his history. So, this is an interesting season for the Mets. It really could go either way. I projected them for 83 wins, and that would 83 and 79. I think that puts you right in the wild card mix. Maybe you're a little short, but I think it's going to be an interesting season. All right, I can't end on a negative on if they'll miss the playoffs. So let's end this thing on a positive. It's your 15th season covering the Mets. How excited are you for a new season of MLB baseball?
Yeah, I really am. In long winter, and the Mets made so many moves. Starting right with the first day of the offseason when they introduced David Stearns as the new president of baseball operations, and Carlos Mendoza is hiring as manager. So it's a new era at Citi Field. There's been a lot of new eras lately, but maybe this is the beginning of some stability there.
Well, congrats to another year for you, Mike, and we'll have you on pretty soon again.
All right. Thanks for having me.